Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Let's see where we are here. I am going to share my life to my business pages. 1 second. Guys, if you're coming on here, say hi. Yay, thanks guys. Cool. Okay, all shared. Sorry, I just want to make sure that... Hey Tracy, I know. Oh my God, how are you? It's been forever. I haven't even seen you post anything for a really long time. Maybe it's my algorithm, who knows? Cool. Okay, I'm gonna begin. Everything's shared, everything is good to go. Guys, welcome. Hi, hi, hi. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Justine Leslie. I am an intuitive and spiritual coach. I help people heal through intuition, spirituality, philosophy, universal law, so people can live in freedom and truth. Freedom. And I also do a lot of support work around spiritual awakenings and empathic. I deal with empathic people. So I am doing great, just very busy on schoolwork, not posting too much. Gotcha. Figured. Figured. Okay, cool. Thanks everybody that's joining. I wanted to talk today. I have a little bit of a cold. I'm sorry. Woof. I apologize. I wanted to talk today about freedom because I notice a lot of different people have a different definition of freedom, and I wanted to share mine to see if anybody resonates. And sorry, I'm getting a text here. I'm getting a little distracted, but see if anybody resonates. So, you know, I just told you what I did, and I said I help people heal, you know, through the ways that I do it, and I do it because I want people to experience freedom. Now, a lot of people in the spiritual guys, I can't talk today. The spiritual community, hi Jacob, thanks for joining. So a lot of people in the spiritual community, or for coaches, the end goal is really for happiness, right? To create a life of happiness. I personally don't like the word happy because from my perspective, right, this is all my perspective, happy is really just an emotion, and all emotions, it's an emotion and it's a feeling. And so all emotions and feelings just pretty much are felt, and then they're passed, and then they pass. They are all temporary, basically. So by putting happy in that category, I am describing happiness as something that's temporary. Now, what I mean by that is that I do believe that, thanks for the likes and hearts, guys. Thanks. So I guess you agree, right? I'll explain. Because there's actually a state of what I like to call, and I've done a Facebook Live on this before. I forgot what it was called. I'll look into it. But I believe there's something that's called bliss. And bliss is a type of happiness that is actually more permanent. And if you've ever experienced that feeling, it's more of a euphoria than a quick jab of feel-good feelings, right? So it's actually more permanent, and it's more of a peace. It's more of peace is the word. It's more of an inner peace that's permanent. So I like to call it bliss. And I guess inner peace is something that, sorry, I'm just trying to think and be able to articulate it correctly where you guys can understand. I believe inner peace could be, could really be interchangeable with bliss. But basically, that word happiness, it just really kind of just bothers me because that's not really the goal, right? I'm not here to help you guys be happy. I'm here to help you guys heal and be free and live in truth and live the life that you've always desired, to fulfill the desires. So I just said that word again, freedom. So for me, I see two types of freedom. So the first type is, which is I think the most important type, and it's my favorite type, is emotional freedom, because that can really dictate your energy levels and dictate how you see the world, your lens, and how you interact with the world on an everyday basis. And the whole point is to not be trapped in your emotions and to be able to, and here's the word, freely express them, but also not feel like you're in some type of emotional prison. That's the goal. And believe it or not, that word emotional prison, you might chuckle a little bit at it, but you don't know how many people are living their lives every day trapped with those emotions and, unforgiving, not forgiving someone, or anger, and it's not just an emotion that's passing through. It's, yes, emotional freedom, so true. Totally. It's not something that's passing through. It's something that people carry with them for a very long time. Grief is another one, another big one. Shame, guilt, all of these can be found very, very clearly in emotional prison. And a lot of people are carrying that around and they don't even know the first step in being able to heal that. And for me personally, that's my background, is because I was never taught how to deal with a feeling or an emotion growing up, that I didn't know how to get out of this prison. It was a nightmare. Anxiety, depression, pretty much the two things that manifested out of there, out of that prison, until I had my spiritual awakening and my Kundalini experience, where I wasn't actually able to keep those emotions down anymore. They all came to the surface, and I quote unquote had no choice, even though I believe that we did have a choice. But I would have made myself even more sick than I already was. And that's another thing, guys. The more you stuff emotions, the more physically sick you get. And I'll talk about physical freedom in a minute, but I'm talking about getting physically ill based on stuffing emotions. And that is so true. If you guys are a fan of Louise Hay, or if you're not, from Hay House, she talks about, she put out this famous book. It's called You Can Heal Your Life, and you can look up ailments, some stuff that is, I'll post the Amazon link for it after this live, but you can look into it. And if you have back pain or leg pain, or you continually get sore throats, they're usually connected to some type of emotional prison that you're not allowing yourself to express. So be very, very mindful of that. And this is why I do this work, so I can keep you guys in a place or I can get you guys to a place of freedom, emotional freedom, that bliss, that inner peace, whatever you want to call it, living your truth and living your best life. That's the point. And is there any other point of life, to be completely honest with you, besides learning our lessons and being kind to each other and returning to love? Yes, okay, there's a bunch of stuff. But seriously, it's really, we're here to feel good, and this is important in feeling good, is to release all of these things. And I've said it before in a live, and it's actually kind of controversial, and you may not even resonate with this, but I believe in reincarnation, and I truly believe that there is no heaven and hell, and that heaven, and the real definition of heaven and hell is what's happening as humans, right? Because emotional prison is hell. So if you've ever had to deal with a very, very difficult emotion, that's hell. You've been through it, and then if you've healed, you've been out of it. So that's what I believe. And heaven is really the bliss, the inner peace. So really, I believe those things exist on this planet as a human being, because anything that's actually in spirit, which is what I think happens to us after we die, we're in spirit, and then if we decide to come back, which we mostly do, we come back and reincarnate into another human soul. Another human body. Soul is the same. So there is no heaven and hell. That's beyond. It's only spirit, and that's always positive. So that's why I don't believe, I believe hell can only be experienced in the whole human life. So that's what I believe. I don't know if anybody else believes it, but really, freedom really is, at the end of the day, the remembering of your spirit and your soul. It's just remembering what that pure feeling is of your being and your truth. And I think it's just so important that we're very, very knowledgeable of that freedom aspect. And then I also so I'm talking a lot about emotional freedom, but I also want to talk about physical freedom. And maybe physical is not the right word, but it's kind of about, feeling physically entrapped. I used to work in an office, and not just the physical space was suffocating me, but it was more of the work that I had to do that I didn't feel passionate about. That was physical freedom. Like, I didn't feel I had any control, and that's a great word. I'll go back to it in a little bit, but it's more of like something on the physical realm instead of emotional, right? And that also comes down to money, right? Like, you feel kind of trapped when you're broke because you can't buy the things that you want to buy, or you can't, even if they're necessities, right? And you can't buy them. You feel like very imprisoned by the monetary system and being broke. So that could actually also be under physical freedom. So I think it's so important to recognize that there are two. But really, I hit it on the head before, and I want to reiterate this about control, is freedom is not just remembering your soul and remembering your pure being and spirit. It's also taking back control of your life, whether it is the emotional, whether it is the physical. And I think it's so important, because when people feel a lack of control, that's when they start feeling oppressed. And we all know that when oppression is on a continuous cycle, it could lead to an explosion, or what's a better word, to a rebellion all at one time. So it's good to maintain all of this to kind of prevent that type of situation happening. But I hope you guys kind of get where I'm going with this. But for me, obviously, out of the two, emotional and physical freedom, the emotional part is just so important, because I truly believe that if you have that, then you can get to the physical. Because if I wasn't in a really good place and emotionally, I wouldn't have been able to quit my full-time job, my corporate job. And I think it's really the baseline emotional freedom. So really it does a lot of things. And it's interesting because I was talking to a friend today about emotions, and a lot of people don't really know how to express them very well, and a lot of them just don't have a lot of people just don't have the self-awareness. Hi, thanks for joining. So a lot of people just don't have the self-awareness to be aware of those feelings. So if you have the self-awareness of the feelings, that's half the battle, right? And I always say this to my clients: feeling the feeling is half the battle. Healing it is the other half. But it's halfway, which is super positive. It's almost there, basically. So, because some people don't even have the luxury of being able to be conscious and self-aware of that feeling. So just remember that, because you are one step closer to emotional freedom by having self-awareness. And that's super important. So whenever you think of, oh, sorry, there's a fly in here. Whenever you think that you're really far behind, as far as healing goes, remember that that being self-aware and being conscious of it is half the battle, so you're halfway there. So hopefully that helps in the self-compassion area of when you're doing your healing. But basically, yeah, that is really how you are going to get on your way. And I'm really grateful that I am pretty self-aware, and I'm able to, when a feeling comes up, I'm able to pretty accurately figure it out. And then half the other battle is figuring out why I feel that way, right? So asking myself the questions and really listening to my intuition, right? As to why exactly. And then once I figure that out, healing. I know I keep going through the cycle over and over again, but I just want to make sure people understand it. Because really, I don't want to say that it's easy, but there's a simple formula. And I think if we can all really kind of understand that, we'll be able to heal a lot faster and a lot more efficiently. So just wanted to say that. So that's what freedom means to me. I think there's two types. I think both are important, but I obviously think emotional freedom is something that can be done for the basis. I think you know, when you are in the right, when you are energetically aligned and feeling good, then you can mostly do other things, including you know, making strides to make sure your physical environment is where you want it to be as far as freedom goes. You know, how you spend your time, how you spend your money, that type of thing. So hopefully you guys understand that. All right, guys, I am out of here. I will be on tomorrow. Thank you for joining. I will post, actually, let me see if I can get it up now. That Louise Hay book that I mentioned, You Can Heal Your Life, I'm going to post it in the comments here so you guys can get it. And basically, if you just joined, it's basically a book talking about a bunch of ailments that you have, that you look up what you have, and then it's connected to like an emotional, suppressed emotion that you may have. It's really accurate, which is like wonderful. It's such a beautiful thing. Okay. I posted it. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, Tracy, see you soon. So good seeing you. All right. I will be on tomorrow. Bye, guys.